Unencumbered by political correctness, undeterred in her mission to spread the truth, unafraid to be a true conservative, she's unapologetic, uncompromising, unwavering, and an undeniably powerful voice when we need it most.
This is my fight song.
This is Rose Unplugged.
These podcasts are made available by MyPillow. You know, they've got the sandals available right now at mypillow.com. Are they as comfortable as the slippers? And I am here to tell you, oh yes, they are. Get online, go to mypillow.com and order your sandals. And while you're there, take a look at all of the other great products they have. I've got the Giza sheets that even now, a year and a half later, are still like they were the very first day I put them on the bed. mypillow.com, promo code ROSE if you want great savings. Joining me today is Judge Jeanine Pirro, author of Crimes Against America, The Left's Takedown of Our Republic. And I doubt I need to tell you this, but I will anyway. She also co-hosts The Five on Fox News Channel, the highest rated program on the network. Judge Jeanine, it's so nice to have you back on again. How are you?
I am good, and I'm delighted to be back on. Thank you for having me.
Well, I love you, and I love watching you, and I love your courage, and you are not afraid to speak your mind. And I think that's what many people like about you. And this book that you've written recently, Crimes Against America, is basically an indictment against Joe Biden, his administration, and you talk about the far left ideologies. And before we get into your indictment, in the very beginning of your book, I noticed that you talk about Abraham Lincoln, and he had a prediction about whether or not America would die and how she might die. Could you explain that to our audience?
Yes, and I'm so glad you noticed that. In 1838, Abraham Lincoln had given a speech at the Lyceum, and the speech was about the United States. And the United States, at that point, had not yet gone through the Civil War, but he was talking about America, how great she was. And he talked about the fact that no one could ever defeat America, that there would be no great power that would come across the ocean or across the Mississippi that could come over and defeat us, and that the only thing that could defeat us is if we were to die by suicide, if our death were to be inflicted by ourselves. And I see that in the book Crimes Against America, The Left's Takedown of Our Republic, which you can get at judgejbook.com. That's judgejbook.com. I see that this country is losing its basic institutions. I see the fact that there is an attempt at a takedown of this great republic. I see it every day as your listeners do, whether it's, whether you open a newspaper or turn on your phone and read the feed or watch television. Every day it's some First Amendment right that's being taken away, or it's about a government that is not fair, that has two systems of justice, or about criminals who are literally allowed to roam free and are not held accountable, just let out as though bail is something that was, not very well thought out, when in truth, bail is part of the Eighth Amendment to the Constitution. So with a takedown of this country, with the invasion at the southern border, we are no longer a sovereign nation. We are literally a globalist landing spot with benefits. Anyone can come here. We don't know who they are, where they came from, what their records are, but we just welcome them. And we don't even give them alien registration numbers now. Forget about, identifying them and finding out what their records are. The states had to go to court to force Joe Biden to at least give them an alien registration number so we know who they are. And no one is against immigration. We're all immigrants, but it's got to be fair, it's got to be legal, and it's got to be orderly. This is just anyone who can come from any country at any time and say, I want education, I want medication, I want housing, I want money. And in New York City, the mayor here just threw kids out of school to put illegals about whom we know nothing in the gyms, and the kids are left to play stickball in the streets. I mean, that certainly is not what was anticipated. Our founding fathers never planned for that to happen. And at the same time, we're paying Ukraine billions of dollars to protect its borders. Nothing is making sense anymore, and that's why I wrote Crimes Against America.
Yeah, and no one's really quite leveled this type of indictment that you have against this administration and against the left, because it's not just the administration. We're talking about an entire movement, an ideology that is, it almost seems unstoppable. Do you have confidence that it can be stopped, Judge Jeanine?
That's a great question. And, we went through a civil war and we were able to mend ourselves. I mean, I am the eternal optimist, but I'm also a realist. I also understand that we have to recognize the danger that we're in when people are being arrested, for things that are not really, criminal. You lose your job, you lose your ability in some cases to practice medicine after COVID if they didn't like that you were recommending this drug or that drug.
Right.
I mean, it is an all out breakdown of our society. Kids in the schools are being taught CRT and about trans identity. But for COVID, we would never have known about this. I mean, that's a silver lining to COVID. I mean, you lock the kids out of school, and Randy Weingarten getting billions with a B for all of the schools, and yet none of them open. The Catholic schools were open, charter schools are open, the Lutheran schools are open. They're open in China. They're teaching quantum physics over there. They're open in Russia, but not in America. While Randy Garden connects billions. I mean, she's the head of the American Federation of Teachers, and you say, why are you going to Ukraine? And she says she's studying the education department over there. Well, there's nothing to study. Every school over there has been burnt to the ground. Kids are not going to school. So in the end, what we've got is we've got to recognize that whether it's free speech or whether it, the criminal justice system with Soros-funded prosecutors who make a decision that they're more concerned about the criminal and letting them out of jail than protecting the victim. And, we just had that here last week in New York City. A Marine decides to step up when a mentally ill schizophrenic in the middle of a psychotic episode takes down a homeless person because he has basically threatened everybody, and everyone in that locked subway moving car, moving underground without police protection, calls him a hero, thanks him for what he did, and the DA charges him with manslaughter in the second degree. This is not what America is about. They defund the police. They denigrate the police. The police are retiring at record numbers, and we're not getting replacements in police departments. And then they expect people to pretty much fend for themselves. And when they do, they charge someone with manslaughter. It's from education. It's from the First Amendment. It's a Second Amendment. It's also, the Biden administration. I mean, they're gaslighting us. They tell us one thing and they do another. They say that in the United States, parents are domestic terrorists. If they literally want to make sure that their kids aren't raped in a bathroom, that's where that all started. A father came to a school board meeting because his daughter had been raped in the bathroom by someone of the opposite sex who identified as a female that day. What does the school do? The school moves the abuser to another school where he molested another person. So it's not about protecting us anymore. We've got to protect and defend ourselves. And that's why I wrote Crimes Against America. That's why, the book at this point is doing so well. It's number 5 on Amazon.
Congrats.
Because thank you, but it's resonating with people. It is the news that's happening every day. We got the Durham report last week. What did the Durham report tell us? Not only was this Russian collusion a hoax, but Hillary Clinton made the decision that she would create this hoax and told Joe Biden and Barack Obama before she did it. She destroyed this country. We were fighting with each other, family members, after Donald Trump got elected because he was a Putin puppet. He was a Russian asset. They did that. Hillary Clinton, what did she do? She ends up, she deducts the money as a legal expense. It wasn't even her money. She didn't get arrested like Donald Trump did. And for Donald, it was his own money. It wasn't even campaign money. And it was money that he used for a non-disclosure. So all in all, the country's in a mess. Our kids are a mess. And in the first paragraph, I talk about the fact that our kids are not reading and writing the way they're supposed to be. And it's no surprise, given the public schools. It's just billions upon billions, and they reject the idea of the tax dollar going with the child to a school where the child can excel. And the inner city kids, We defund the police. We take out the street crimes unit. And who's suffering? The brown and black children are suffering. The minority children are suffering. Nobody's helping that minority child in the inner city who needs our help, desperately needs our help. So I feel very passionately about crimes against America. I feel strongly about the left's takedown. I fill the book with examples of how it's done. And, you can get it, as I said, at judgejbook.com. And you can also get in there the footnotes and the arguments that are made. I mean, it is a compelling indictment of the Biden administration, where Joe Biden and his son Hunter, they're part of an organized criminal enterprise. I've been a prosecutor, a judge, and a DA for 30 years. This is my wheelhouse.
That's right.
Joe Biden goes into foreign countries. He wraps himself in the American flag with all the power and glory attendant to that flag. He's a front man, and his son Hunter's the bag man, with the back doors collecting billions and millions of dollars. Joe Biden goes to Ukraine, and the guy admits it. He admits it. He says, I told them, if you don't take this prosecutor off this company, by the way, the company his son was working for, he wasn't going to give them $1 billion of our taxpayer money. Well, how dare you? How dare you leverage my taxpayer money and the money of all the taxpayers who work hard, who pay their taxes, who don't violate the law, so your son, who's a derelict, can collect millions of dollars. That's why I wrote the book, and hopefully people will, hear and see in that book what we're experiencing in America right now.
And Judge Jeanine, we respect you tremendously. And one of the, we love your fire, your courage. In fact, in closing, we do. You're amazing.
Thank you.
In closing, what would you say to those who, unlike you, are perhaps afraid to speak up, afraid to even share an opinion? What would you say to them? Because you wrote this book, Crimes Against America. That's a strong indictment. You were unafraid to take that stand. What would you say to others that don't want to get out there and take that stand? Because
they'll be canceled.
They'll be canceled.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Your thoughts?
Well, the only thing I could say is this. Look, I grew up in small town America in upstate New York. People think of New York only as New York City.
Right.
I worked in a dairy. Okay. My dad was a veteran. It was a very ordinary, average family. And, I was raised to say what I thought, and I was raised to recognize the difference between right and wrong. This is my moral compass. I couldn't be true to myself if I said anything else. And my success, to the extent you even consider me successful, but it comes from the fact that I'm genuine. What you see is what you get. I'm not going to say something because someone wants me to say it. And and I'm no spring chicken, by the way. I've been around a long time. I can only say what I want to say and be true to myself. And, that way I sleep at night. I feel better about myself. And this country is worth fighting for. I'm tired of these phonies who are making money on the side. These people of median income who go into Congress and they come out multi-millionaires.
Yes.
Or their families are millionaires. I don't buy that. I just don't buy it, and I don't want it. And we're going to lose this country to a loudmouth left who hates America, who wants America last. I want America first. I want America to be that shining city on the hill that Ronald Reagan talked about. That's my America, and you can't take it from me. And I don't care if it's my dying day. That's what I think, and that's what I fought for my whole life.
And that is why we so respect you and so appreciate you. Judge Jeanine Pirro, author of Crimes Against America, The Left's Takedown of Our Republic. You can get that at judgejbook.com. Thank you so much. Thank you for being true to yourself.
Amazon or anywhere.
Amazon or anywhere.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, thank you. Have a great day. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Bye-bye.